Hello, everybody. My name is Bear, and this is Friendly Neighborhood Gamer. Today, we're going to be going over a review of Frostgrave, second edition. Important I say that. Uh, this is a game clearly done by Joseph McCullough. Uh, how big that is compared to the title of the actual game. Osprey Games had a huge sale, and one of the things I got was a third copy of the rulebook because it's a leather-bound copy. I have yet to even open it up. You guys get to see me opening it up, get to see my first opinions, review, whatever you want to call it, of this. I have in my personal library two copies of the original hardback one. I have two copies of the first edition. So this will be my third copy of the rulebook. And you might be like, Bear, why would you ever do that? Well, I run a lot of games for new players. It's part of the Friendly Neighborhood Gamer. Ooh, that is nice. Friendly Neighborhood Gamer business. And having multiple rulebooks is nice because I don't always want to have to, I want to hand off assignments sometimes to other people. So I'm not saying you as a viewer or a player should want to do that, but having multiple copies of the rulebook just makes it so much easier to be like, here, make your character. I'm going to help this other person make their character, their wizard, their apprentice, their warband, just to kind of get it through. So I'm not expecting anything crazy from the leather-bound copy. It is the exact same as the normal hardback, but the outside, classy. That's nice. So I'm going to jump over here and just use the new leather-bound copy, and we'll go there. So, Frostgrave, second edition, my review of it. Frostgrave itself, if you will, long ago, there was a city called Felstad that had multiple schools of wizardry running this town. It doesn't really say why they were in this town, but I'm assuming it's because the kingdoms of the world were like, you guys are too dangerous. Go start your own place. Do all your magic in this other place and get the hell away from us because something's going to go wrong and we don't want that around other people. And sure enough, it did. A spell went awry, and it caused the entirety of the city of Frostgrave, of Felstad, to become Frostgrave. A huge, vortex of polar energy froze the whole area. Well, it's been thousands of years, and now that area is starting to thaw out, and people around the world are like, hey, those wizards, they had a lot of cool shit up there. Maybe I should go get some of that cool shit and bring it back and sell it, make a profit. And the wizards are like, hey, those people had really powerful magics. I would like to have powerful magic, so I'm going to go up there and learn from them. So that's kind of the gist of it. That you're a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. You go and you get it. You bring your apprentice with you. You guys go into to Frostgrave, and you're looking for loot. You're looking for grimoires. You're looking for magical items. But also, so are your buddies, and there's only so much loot to go around. So you're kind of battling it out. This is a skirmish game you have 10 models on the board, your opponent has 10 models on the board, and this skirmish game plays best when you are doing it as a campaign. One-shot adventures are all right, but where it really shines is getting experience, leveling up your wizards, and getting to that point where you're getting powerful, and there's like an ecology amongst your group with like one wizard kind of pulling ahead, and the other wizards are kind of making a truce to take down that guy or gal, and trying to figure out a way to not let someone pull too far ahead. That's to me is where Frostgrave really shines. Second edition made some changes. I'm not going to go over that too much. I already did a video on first versus second editions and my opinion of it. This is just more of a review of the actual game of Frostgrave in the second edition. So during wizard creation, you're going to choose from one of 10 schools of magic. And what this system has is it has your school of magic. the ones that are aligned, so they kind of go along with it, the ones that are neutral, and then directly across on like a wheel, you'll have one that's opposed. So the schools are as follow. You got Chronomancer, Elementalist, Enchanter, Illusionist, Necromancer, Sigilist, Soothsayer, Summoner, Thaumaturge, and Witch. So now that being said, just because you are a soothsayer or a necromancer doesn't mean you can't have spells from other schools of magic. Actually, quite the contrary. You're going to have schools of every school of magic, spells from every school of magic, except for the one that you're opposed to. And you'll have a choice to make during your wizard creation of which spells you want. The ones that are in your main school of magic will be the easiest for you to cast. The ones that are aligned will have a +2 difficulty to what you need to roll. The ones that are neutral will have a +4 difficulty for when you try to cast them. And then lastly, the opposed school will have a +6. So not saying it's impossible for you to do it. It's just saying that it's really unlikely that you'll be casting those spells unless you put a lot of time and effort. I like that. It's not putting you in a box. It's got, your main school, but it also has these other schools that you can kind of double dip into. And as you go throughout the city of Frostgrave, you're going to be finding grimoires that you can learn spells from in other schools of magic. Or you can sell them if it's one that you don't want. I think the actual rule is if you don't have the spell, you have to buy it or you have to learn it. Because ultimately, you want to learn every spell. So, after you do that, you make your apprentice. You don't have to have an apprentice, but it's one of those things that it's like, why wouldn't you? The apprentice costs 100 gold out of your starting amount. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. You get 400 gold to start with when you start your warband. So you got your wizard. You have a choice to buy an apprentice. You don't have to, but I would highly recommend it unless you have some type of strategy that doesn't require it. Then I would not start that as your starting strategy. Your apprentice is essentially just a little doppelganger of your wizard. The stats that it has are all based off of your wizard stats. The gear can be different. If you want your apprentice to have a different weapon or have a ranged weapon or something like that, and your wizard have a sword or a staff or something, you can switch it up that way. But ultimately, your apprentice is going to be just a little doppelganger, and as your wizard levels up, your apprentice will level up too. After that, you've got 2 out of your 10. The other 8 slots in your warband are going to be for the soldiers. The soldiers are interesting because some of them are like mooks. Others of them are a little more in depth. You're allowed to have 4 standard soldiers. And you're allowed to have as many standard soldiers as you want. Let me correct myself. You're allowed to have 4 specialists, and then you can have as many standard soldiers as you want. Specialists are the ones that are special. They usually give you extra, like better gear, or have abilities such as like the apothecary that can create. Well, no, I apologize. The apothecary is a standard soldier. The specialists are the ones that have extra gear, more powerful gear, have better stats. They fit a special role. So you got like the archer, the crossbowman, the treasure hunter, tracker, knight, templar, ranger, barbarian, and marksman are your specialists. And they cost a pretty penny, with the most expensive ones being 125 gold. And I think the cheapest ones up here are 75 with the archer and crossbowman. Compared to your standard soldiers, your thugs and your thieves, they're just free. Which is kind of nice because sometimes I've played this as like a campaign and you don't have money and people die permanently. So in the original one, I said I wasn't going to do this. The thugs and thieves had a cost, so you could just really be down on your luck and going back into the Frostgrave and not have enough soldiers. With the second edition, they decided that, thugs and thieves are free because you should be able to lure anybody, any of the riffraff from the bottom, into your party. But they legitimately start with a hand weapon for the thug or just a dagger for the thief. Their stats are slightly different, with the thug being better at fighting and the thief being a little faster. But yeah, you go down to like Warhound, Infantry, Man-at-Arms, and Apothecary. The Apothecary is pretty powerful because it allows you to create, if I remember correctly, a healing potion per game. Start each game with a potion of healing. Yeah. So that's the ability to just give that out to somebody else before the game starts or during the game, to walk up and basically get a free heal. That's pretty powerful. I like the general system with the hand weapons and the two-handed weapon. It doesn't go into details about, well, this is a sword, this is a hammer, and all that. It's just, this is a hand weapon, this is a two-handed weapon. Here's the stats for it. Keep moving. And you can get a very diverse crew, whether it be like having a hand weapon, two-handed weapon, two single-handed weapons, heavy armor, light armor, shield. It does have a maximum armor, but it allows you to make like a strategy depending on what spells you took with your wizard and then what you're going to do with your warband. You can really get a strategy to try and murder your friends, and I appreciate that. Not everybody does. And again, this game doesn't have to be as PvP. It's as PvP as you want it to be or not, because one of the cool things about this game, there are a lot of optional rules, and I'm not going to really go into that just yet. But one of the optional rules that I feel like is a must is that every time you pick up a piece of treasure, you roll on a random monster table that could summon a random monster. And when you do that, it appears usually at the edge of a table. And that just really changes the game because, one, there's just so many cool creatures that you may not get with the scenarios, and we'll get into the scenarios later. But having these random monsters appear really makes the game different. It's not just you versus me kind of thing. It becomes you, me, and the environment, plus the scenario. It just adds a lot of chaos. And that's kind of what this place would be. Everything's thawing out. Monsters are roaming the city. It makes it a more like alive and kind of more of a deadly place. So I definitely recommend adding the random monster rule and using the random encounter table. Blah, blah, blah. And one cool thing about the main book is it has scenarios already built in. So this is the lifeblood of your campaign, and rolling the random scenario, not knowing where your wizard's going to go. You and your opponent would be randomly picked. In my games, that's how I normally do it. Every time you guys play, you get a random opponent, and once you've gone through everybody, then you can start the cycle over again, and then you randomly choose a scenario. And there's the original book. I know I wasn't going to say it. This first edition only had 10 scenarios. Second edition comes with an additional 10 scenarios for a total of 20 scenarios, which is pretty nice. So, some of you at home might be like, well, Bear, how do you win? What's the win condition? They have the optional transcendence rule in the main book that you can essentially transcend past a point and win the game. It says wizards only. This spell has no specific school of wizardry, so the modifiers are aligned with neutral and opposed schools do not apply. Well, before I go too much further, it says this optional rule is for those players who want to give their wizards an ultimate goal or want to establish a specific way to win a campaign. If the wizard can't purchase it, a grimoire containing one of the spells of a spell, they can exchange it for a grimoire containing the transcendent spell. So then you'd get this transcendent spell. It has a 20 casting, so you'd have to get a natural 20, or you'd have to level it up through experience. So it's very difficult to cast, which is kind of the point. It's the end. Whoever gets it wins the game. So it is. It is one of the ways to win the game. I won't spoil any of the other special rules in the other books, but I like this rule. I know again it's optional, but it adds an end game. It adds a goal for everybody to get to it. So once people start seeing that you've gotten this Transcendence Grimoire and you've learned the spell, it gives you a chance to, oh no, well, so and so is getting close to ending the game, the ending of the campaign. So let's stop them. The spells in here are very well balanced. I like them. It really makes each school of magic its own thing. And then you add on top of that the other expansions that have already come out, adding new spells, helping, giving you more options. But even without the expansions, this rulebook by itself is enough to keep your gaming group going for months, if not a year, if you're playing a regular game. If you're not playing regular, this could keep you busy for a long time. The book is well made. I've read a lot of role-playing books. I've read a lot of gaming books. The way that this flows is logical and makes sense to me. Nothing is, nothing feels like it's out of place. I like it. I really cannot stand when I'm reading a rule book or something and it's like, okay, well, you just told me to do this thing. Where's this thing? Everything is laid out in a good way. Talking about like leveling up. It tells you exactly what to, like your options to do it. Osprey Games and Joseph McCullough did a great job with that. Things that I really like about the Frostgrave system, whether it be this book or any of them, but especially in this book, there are these little tiny blue boxes all over, and they're just flavor text, and it's cool. I like it. I've literally gone through it and made like notes on all of them in the past. Now, I'll read this one: a hidden pit full of ice spikes pointing straight up. Explain how that could have formed naturally. And it's just like you're reading the diary or notes left behind by other adventurers that have gone through the city and seen weird shit happening. And it really, to me, adds to the game. The treasures, counting like you have different treasure whenever you pick up a treasure token at the end of the game, you roll for each one, and then it breaks down into other tables. So if you roll potions, you go to potions, and there's lesser potions and greater potions, and it kind of goes into each one of those. It really makes it different so that everybody's not getting the exact same treasure every time that they're going through the city. Scrolls and grimoires, there's a table for that. Magic weapons and armor. You're able to give these items to your soldiers if your wizard can't use it. It's just kitting out your adventuring team is, I don't know, it's cool. And then having that person die and take that item with them, or it kind of breathes a fresh air of life into this game. And knowing that your soldiers could die, or your wizard could die. Your wizard could get permanent injuries. There's permanent injury after the game, badly wounded, close call, and full recovery. So at the end of a game, you will go into, if you get knocked off the board, you're gone for the game. At the end of the game, you roll to see if you die, if you get a permanent injury, what happens. And the permanent injuries are cool. It's like lost toes, smashed leg, crushed arm, lost finger, never quite as strong, psychological scars. And they give you a negative for every game. And maybe some folks at home are like, well, Bear, why the hell would I want to do that? I don't know. It's kind of cool to see that your wizard has gone into this place and they're coming out a changed person. They're not the exact same as when they went in. I like it. I like being a big damn hero, but big damn heroes have scars. You see the movies and the guy's taking off his shirt and he's got bullet wounds all in him, or he's got scars down his back. Those take a toll on him. he's just a big damn hero and you can't tell. Same thing here. I've had wizards get their fingers chewed off by snow leopards. I've lost an eye to an arrow. Like it creates a story. That story could then be used that if another player did that to you, now you guys have a grudge and you're like, you took my eye, I'm going to kill it. Like it makes a story. And that's the whole point of playing with your friends, is to make that story. I really like this. Being able to go and like level up your character, and you can see how your friends are getting more powerful and kind of having a discussion. It makes a ecology. It makes a the group kind of grow and move in different ways. I don't know. I really like the idea of this game as a campaign. I think that it's really well put together. As far as the leather bound portion goes, I mean, it's just as good as the regular one. It's just a little fancier. It's got the tassels on the bottom. I like those. So you can, if you look, you can see where I've got note cards placed. This gives you the tassels so you don't have to do that and you don't look like a peasant. But overall, I give this book a high score. Like I have just about every single book that's come out in the Frostgrave universe, and I've even delved into some of the other books. So that tells you how much I really like Joseph McCullough's world of Frostgrave and the ones that are adjacent to it. So this has been my review. I would rank this as one of the best, if not the best, miniature games that are for skirmish types. I definitely recommend adding it to your table, getting a friend group together and trying it out, or even trying the solo. There are a couple books that go into solo campaigns and how you can do that. If that's your thing and you like solo, or you just don't have any friends that are interested in it, go at it. Frostgrave is a model agnostic system. You don't have to buy their models. They just ask you to, and with any model agnostic, just have your model so that your opponent can kind of tell, well, that's a knight, or that's a wizard, or that's a whatever it is. The one stepping stone I would say to getting into this game is you need a lot of terrain, because you're playing on a 3x3 board. You do not want a direct line of sight anywhere across the board. You want to have, you don't want to be able to shoot from one side of the board to the other. You want instead these boards to look like an ancient city that's been destroyed. So you also want to have things blocking paths, but you also want to go up. You want to have, layers of height to your table, because you're going to be placing treasure tokens for you and your opponent to find. And if everything's just flat, it's kind of boring. But having that height, there's spells like push, where you could push people off a height and they take falling damage. I've had someone push from the ground, where I was standing up here and it shot me up into the air, and then I fell once I reached the peak of that flight essentially he set me on. It just makes for good stories. So getting into this, having a nice neoprene mat that's 3x3, having enough terrain to fill a table, which again is not that big of an entry into the game. You can literally take some cardboard boxes and make a terrain with it. I've taken books and stacked them on each other like a pyramid, the largest at the bottom and the tallest going up, and taken a piece of cardboard and laid it across as a bridge. You can get creative. But if you want your tables to pop, having that terrain and that scenery might take a little bit of work to get into. And then the last thing that might be a little difficult to get into this game is the monsters, because the bestiary at the back of the book is pretty diverse. And if you are just starting your miniature army, miniature journey, you might not have a lot of the creatures for this. Skeletons, zombies, ghouls, bears, boars, giant rats, ice toad, minor demon, wolves. These are not things that if you are playing like other miniature games like Kings of War or Warhammer, then maybe you might have some of these in your armies. But if you're not playing those games, you might not have a wild boar or a snow troll or a white gorilla. those might be not be models that you have. So you as a group have to decide, hey, this thing is a white gorilla. I have seen people print out paper models and put them on plastic things and play that way. That is a viable option. I've also seen a lot of folks playing with Legos. That's an option too. Again, rules agnostic. As long as everybody agrees to the rules beforehand, this game will go well. So, final thoughts. I highly recommend it. Get a group, start playing. Yep. So I am Bear. This is Friendly Neighborhood Gamer, and this has been a review of Joseph McCullough's Frostgrave, second edition by Osprey Games. And I recommend it. Go get it. And as always, keep those dice rolling.